because I think a lot of times what people do, and like I have done this to myself as well, is like you'll kind of put yourself in that box and automatically assume that the people around you are judging you before they actually are. Is part of me making this decision because I know it'll create like a distance.
A lot of that is kind of just being in tune with how things are making you feel, but then acting upon that.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the I Am podcast. Today we're going to be talking about growing as a woman, fighting for change in your life, and just different perspectives and ways to do so. Today I have a really special guest. Her name is Leah, one of my longtime friends from college, and we're just gonna have a really good conversation about this with y'all. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Leah, welcome to the I Am podcast. Welcome to today's episode. So just starting off, you want to introduce yourself, let the people know a little bit about you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Dimitri, and I am a pre-junior, so I'm a third year at Drexel University, and I'm majoring in material science and engineering. So
she's smart, y'all. So I guess a little like context, we can also just say, how did we meet?
Let's get into this. This is very fun. Jaazy and I go way back. The freshman year, we both were doing like this program over the summer called STAR.
Yeah, the research program.
It's a research program, like students tackling advanced research.
I'm glad you remember that.
I have to. Everyone's like, what's STAR? And I have to like go into it. But yeah, I think we met through like one of our friends.
Yeah. I don't even remember like the first time we like hung out. I feel like we also gradually became friends.
I was just like not looking forwards to it. And then I ended up meeting like my best friends, like Jaazy and a bunch of other people that I'm like so close with now.
Yeah. No, it was really cool because there were so little people that like it forced us to like just kind of become close really fast. So
yeah,
it was cool. Well, now from then freshman year to now, what would you say is like the most important area for like people, and like, you know, it's Women's History Month and we've both grown a lot as women, and so for women specifically, to grow in, especially in like this stage of life?
That's a very good question. Jaazy. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to you about this kind of before a little bit. I think it's different for everyone. It's kind of like subjective. And especially like this age range. Yeah. I think starting college to now, there's just like so much change and like development. And I think a lot of it is kind of like understanding where your priorities lie. And that kind of became like very, very clear to me recently now too. So I'm very much like professional development and like academics, and I've always kind of had that mindset. And I think coming into college, sometimes there's just like so much going on. But I feel like that's an area of focus that I personally would prioritize, and I think that a lot of other women should as well. I know you do.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Also,
because I think like you said, like the professional development, like, you know, you're coming to college for school, but when you get here, there's just so many other things that will take away your focus from like the studies, but really like that's what's going to get you from point A to point B. And everywhere I go, people are always say it's like the people you know that are going to like make opportunities for you in the future, especially as a business major. It's like, it's really all about just like the people you know. Yeah. And like really investing and like focusing into that. So it does add like a sense of like confidence and like security as far as like pursuing my future, I guess,
goals.
And like,
and like college is like the greatest place where you can like meet people. Yeah. And just like, and you can look at that as like networking too. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think like that's definitely an area. Emotional development. Yeah. As well. I feel like you kind of go through a lot coming to college. And then you kind of just learn. based on
Yeah.
your experiences.
Literally, it's like you
Like,
can't know what you haven't experienced, and in college you experience it all.
until you experience it. And it's
Yeah.
all about like growing into your own person.
Yeah. No, it really is, and I think like every step is gonna be kind of like scary, which I think I tried to avoid at a certain point. Or like I felt
Yeah.
like, okay, once I grew this much, then it like wouldn't really be scary anymore. But
Yeah.
now I feel like I'm like in another area where it's just like, no way I'm about to be an adult. That's
Yeah.
like,
No.
and then when you get here, it's like, oh my goodness, how am I supposed to take care of myself on campus? And
Yeah.
like, there's just always like something. But I think growing into your own person just allows you also to have like healthier relationship with yourself, with other people, with your work, like everything. And it's so important to like let that happen
I think
in
that you
school.
touched upon a very like important point that I kind of want to delve into is
Yeah.
like the concept of healthiness.
Mm,
Cuz
okay.
I felt like I had such a lack of that
Yeah.
coming into college. Like I
Right.
didn't know. I mean even just like you're doing everything by yourself for the first
Yeah.
time. So it's
Yeah.
like what do I eat?
Yeah.
How do I do my laundry?
Yeah.
Like the basics, but like that is
Yeah.
all just like different aspects of like physical healthiness and then like
Yeah.
obviously emotional healthiness and like that whole
Yeah.
triangle that they
Right.
teach you
Yeah.
in
It's like
like
physical, emotional,
and
and
mental or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess from our personal experience, what area of that do you feel like you've grown in like the
that's
most?
so okay. I would probably say emotional
Yeah.
emotional healthiness.
Yeah.
Um, I think you and I followed very similar
We
like
did.
trajectories,
Yeah.
which is crazy how
Mhm.
it just always aligned.
Yeah.
Like I think
If she
I
was
was like,
going through something, I was going through the same thing. If
yeah,
I was, you were
but
going.
she was like always ahead of me by like 3 months or like something like that.
At least it looked like it.
Well, yeah, and then like I would just like follow. So then that's why
Yeah.
I like love my like friendship with you too because like we can like talk about
Yeah.
things like
That
that.
we have gone through. Yeah. I feel like when it comes to emotional health, like in
Yeah.
college, I think a big part of it just comes down to like learning identity. A lot of the things that we had to, yeah.
So good.
A lot
That's
of the
so
things
good.
that we dealt with, we just like didn't know like who we were on like a super just like practical like foundational level. I think it was like
Yeah.
going with the flow is just not the move
So
in like life as far as like your own boundaries and stuff.
a
Like you can't
hundred
just make them
percent,
up as you go.
one hundred
I think now
percent.
we've
We both
learned
learned
that.
that. We both
Yeah.
learned that, and I think so. We had a very interesting situation, like coming into
Yeah.
college because like it was the whole COVID stuff, and
Yeah.
like a lot of the people that you were confined with or like surrounding yourself with were like people that you lived with. Like we didn't
Yeah.
have any like
Literally,
other
yeah.
opportunities to really
Meet
like
people.
go out and meet other people and kind of like find your people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like stars when I really was like I
Yeah.
found my people and stuff. But like that's
Yeah.
obviously not like not everyone had the
Yeah.
opportunity
And
to
like
do that
it definitely
too.
was like a thing that like happened by chance kind of.
Yeah.
Like intentionally, but like it wasn't like everyone would just we got lucky. We got
We did get
blessed.
very lucky. We did.
Yeah.
Cuz like it's also just kind of like understanding your own personality type and like
Yeah.
like how else like who else can I get along with that. And then you can't just like really like go with the flow like what you're saying with like anything that comes. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it's like okay, you have to like be like maybe this is not the greatest friendship or
Yeah.
you know what I mean or like relationship or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like coming to that understanding and like being okay to say no, like,
Yeah.
or just setting those boundaries.
Yeah. And just like
Yeah.
being so like intentional. Like even now I see how much more intentional we are. We're just so much more like intentional, focused, disciplined. And I think that also like helps us a lot instead of kind of just taking whatever comes at us, but like making something out of everything.
Yeah.
That comes at us helps too. But that emotional health journey is like it just is so important. It's just so important. And yeah, I don't even know. Like
I think like
how
also
much.
you're not like what was it? I had something that was so good before, but I forgot what it was. But it was like,
No, yeah.
you have to feel, you need to feel in order to heal. That was like my thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when you go
Yeah.
through things like embrace
through
the
them.
emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say, because then you don't want to wallow in your emotions and just be
Yeah.
like, ugh. But like if you like go through how you feel, and then like that's a lot of like human experience is just like
Yeah.
being able to like really understand your emotions, and then afterwards like act on act on it,
Yeah.
kind of.
No, that's really true.
Which is why like I love like writing and like journaling and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I know you do that as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so helpful of an outlet.
Very helpful for like emotional health. Like
Yeah.
like if you just write how you feel, it's like really, I guess, introspective.
Yeah.
Like, because you're
Yeah,
able
it
to kind
is.
of like physically manifest your thoughts on a piece of paper, and it kind of like brings it all together.
Yeah, it does.
So,
It's like also it's like you're sharing like what you're dealing with like something that like won't like you can look back on it and like see it and like reflect on it because you wrote it down. But like also like like the notebook is not gonna like judge you or like give you a hard time or like anything. Like you can just like really just dump like emotionally
yeah.
and it's really really helpful, and even on the good days it's really really
Yeah,
helpful
like
because it's so fun like looking back
everything.
in your journal.
That's the best. Like
Yeah.
looking at it after like a year, like a year and a
Yeah.
half, like whatever, 2 years, and just seeing like the changes.
Yeah.
I think is really just like you can literally read yourself growing.
Yeah, that's so good.
So everyone should get a journal.
No, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But
So I guess
yeah.
on another area of that triangle, I think something that you've had to kind of deal with a little bit more than I have, because being in like the STEM field professionally, how has it kind of been through that journey? And do you think that you've kind of been experiencing a lot of like just some like walls from being a woman in that space, or has it like improved a lot?
So yeah, I'm an engineering major, so I'm a material science and engineering. And I don't know the exact number of like people in my year. Maybe it's around 20.
Oh,
And
wow.
there's like, it's such a small major. It's very tiny.
Wow.
And like there's only a few girls. I
Yeah.
would say like 4 or 5. I'm not 100% positive.
But yeah.
But also like it varies for the like per year. I know the grade above me has more women.
But still, if there's only 20 people, like,
yeah.
there can only be so many. That's crazy.
Yeah. I remember the first time, it was crazy. So I was joining like a lab group for the first, I was like a freshman, like a little freshman.
Yeah.
And I was like doing lab work. And then like I was like, I think the only girl in like a whole lab with like a bunch of like grad and PhD students.
Wow.
And I was like a freshman. And I was like, I've never done this before. Like, what is going on? And it can be like definitely intimidating at first. At the end of the day, I view myself, of course I'm a woman in STEM. Like obviously I'm a woman in engineering, but I'm an engineer. You know what I mean? Like I'm an engineer, and like I walk in a classroom and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm really short, and then like I'm like with a
How
bunch
short
of other...
are you, Lee? No,
I'm like
for people who don't know us, they'd be like, "Why are you being so
yeah,
rude
like
to her
why
right now?"
no, but like I'll walk in a room and it's like I'm with like a bunch of other like engineering dudes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess it can be like when you're in situations like that, it could be intimidating when you don't see people that like look exactly like you. And in the beginning, I think it was a little bit like that for me. But then over time, like these are all your friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's
you're
so good.
all working together to like you all have the same goals in mind. Like we're trying to be engineers. Like, and I'm an engineer just as much as the person sitting behind me is an engineer.
Yeah.
So I don't really like, I try not, or I don't really let like stereotypes like being a woman in STEM kind of like, or just being a woman, because in engineering, I don't really kind of let that block me from the end goal. I am an engineer, you know what I mean?
And that's so good, because I think inevitably like bad like situations are just gonna happen. Like and sometimes that is because of like who you are and people having bad, like just people being rude. But like outside of those like isolated situations, a lot of it can be a narrative that is like true to an extent, but doesn't have to be true for you if it's not your experience. So I think like
also
not
everyone's
putting yourself,
experience is also different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So some people can like be just going through it and some people won't be. So I think it's really smart to not put yourself in that box if you're not in it, because I think a lot of times what people do, and like I have done this to myself as well, is like you'll kind of put yourself in that box and automatically assume that the people around you are judging you before they actually are. And I had a one-on-one with one of the women in my previous internship. She's just done super well and is in leadership. And I asked her, like, as a Black woman, like, what are one of like the main things that you wish you knew or like kind of would have done differently? And she said, like, trusting people more. Like, I wish I just like didn't like assume that people were, I guess, like lying to me kind of in a sense. Like, and I was like, okay, I need to work on that too, because it's so easy. Like when people try to help you or like try to like support you, you just automatically will think like, well, what are you like really trying to do? Like, what are your real motives? What's going on here? Of course, like be aware of the people around you. And if someone's giving you a genuine reason not to like trust them, then, you know, be cautious, but not like already putting yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah. You don't want to close yourself off. You know, you don't want to be in your head too much and like be your own worst enemy and, you know, things like that. So I think it's also, I don't know if I touched upon this before, but it's also like really important kind of like to have faith in yourself, like just to be confident in like, don't doubt yourself. You know what I mean? Like, don't underestimate your abilities. Like, you're in this situation, like you're in this position because you got yourself in that position, and you have every right to be in the same room as these people and to be doing these things. And, you know, I think a lot of the time, like, imposter syndrome can kind of, like, really also preconceive your notion of, like, you know, like, am I not as capable as all these other people?
I guess for people who might not know, what is, like, imposter syndrome?
From my understanding, isn't it, like, when you're in a room of other people and, like, you don't think you're as capable as them. So you kind of, like, get in your own head and you're like, oh, like, should I really be here?
Yeah, like, you end up thinking that, like, you're the imposter in the room. So, like, kind of like if you were in a room of engineers and thinking, well, I'm not a real engineer. Kind of things. Like, you think you're a fake. Because, you doubt yourself.
You doubt essentially, yourself. And I'm, like, so... I do that all the time. I feel like I really admire confidence in other people because I feel like I just like doubt myself a lot. That's definitely something like that's something I need to improve on. That's like growth, you know what I mean? We were talking about that before. Everyone can grow. But like at the end of the day, you know, you really need to trust your capabilities. And like I also think it's important to put yourself like to challenge yourself, you know what I mean? Like to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Like to test the waters out because then you're really pushing yourself.
To learn and to grow and to like endure. Like that's something I've been trying to do, even like with my last internship, kind of going into something that I knew wouldn't be like my inherent like leaning. Like I wouldn't have just like chosen it naturally, but I think I grew a lot from it and learned a lot of like patience, met like great people, and like have a door open that I honestly would not have had open otherwise. And so sometimes like putting yourself in a comfortable situation, like one, like you'll be surprised how well you do with like that confidence and everything, and then secondly, like you'll always get something from it. Like hard work hard
work does pay off.
It does for sure.
I mean, I was in a very interesting internship situation too.
Oh my goodness, this internship was crazy.
Prior to,
I was like, if anyone says that they worked harder than you, and then I think, and then one of our other friends was in that one too. I think.
We all like endured it together, but.
So
like I'm a material science and engineer, you know what I mean? And I ended up getting a mechanical engineering position, which I was like really doubting my capabilities. Like I was like, this is not my area of expertise. Like, I'm like, how am I gonna be in this situation? How am I gonna perform in this situation? And it was probably one of the most professionally challenging experiences of my life, like up until that point, you know. And I was working very, very hard, like just spending so much time like doing lab stuff. And in the moment, it felt like I just was very like, I don't know, it didn't feel great. Like, it was like, I was like, this is like consuming my life. Like, but like looking back on it, I'm so grateful to have challenged myself, like to have been in an experience where I was able to challenge myself to that degree, because I got through it and we all got through it. And then from there, it just builds so much like sense of like confidence in your own capabilities.
Yeah,
you know?
like you did it.
You know, I doubted myself before, and then you're able to do it, and you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
And then going forwards, you kind of are able to project that confidence into everything you do in life. Whether it's like, you know, doing lab work, I guess in my sense, because I'll be doing that in the future, but like other areas, you know, kind of being capable, knowing your capabilities.
No, it's so true. And it's like, you really do have to start, because like even like with me doing like this podcast and like trying to like get my foot into more like marketing opportunities, whether it's like internship or just like more creative jobs, like the more I do it, I think the more my confidence will grow, because I think a lot of it is like waiting to see like, is this work actually like good enough, like you know. And I think it can kind of just be a lot of like pressure, I guess, in a sense. And I think with just like my observation, and again, like in the business school, I think it's a bit different, but I think my observation also being like, how can like this work bring me to like have to not be the loudest in the room, but kind of just like to stand out in the room, to be like a leader in the room. And I think a lot of women, like we all have like different interests, different things that we want to be successful in, but like you said, just like having the confidence in our own skill set, like will eventually lead to us getting there.
Everyone has to like embrace that uniqueness in them. Like, you have such cool hobbies. Like, I'm like, this is like, just, I was saying, I was like so proud of her, because like this entire setup is like, it's a lot, but like you had like, you didn't let like any preconceived notion like, oh, like I don't know if I'm gonna be, you know, good at this, like I don't like, so I'm not gonna, but you tried it, you know, and you're doing it, and I think that has so much just to say in itself.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
But
I guess looking back, what do you think is the biggest thing holding people back from getting to that point where they can start like trying, you know,
trying new things?
Because I think one thing that I had thought of, not only like professionally, but in like all of the areas, emotionally, mentally, was that both of us just like knowing each other's journeys, like we had to fight for where we are now.
Yeah,
like we didn't
that's
just
actually
like end up here. And like for me, of course, like my faith is like a super huge part of my transformation, but there's a lot of work that goes in, and on top of that, like you don't just like wake up one day and like, oh yay, now everything's fine and like life is better. Like, you have to like put in those intentional choices, you have to make mistakes and like get back up and like all of that. So like what would your like advice be for people to learn like that it's okay to like fight for your growth as well?
Well, I think what sets a lot of people back is kind of like the fear of failure. I like definitely have that in myself. And I was reading I forgot what the book was, but I think it was basically just saying that like we teach men to be brave and then like women to be perfect. And I feel like that's
wait, what book is this?
Brave Not Perfect? Brave Not Perfect.
No way. That's so interesting. Wait, can you speak a little more like what that quote was like talking about in the context?
Sure.
I've actually never heard that before.
I think this is like an interesting topic. It's just like how like society kind of like teaches or like presses upon women to like be the perfect mother and then the perfect wife and then the perfect girlfriend and then the perfect student, and you know, like there's this whole preconceived notion of like perfection. And I like am a perfectionist, so I feel like that really like resonated with me. And a lot of the facts were like I wasn't taking initiative to do things was because I didn't want to fail in them. Like I just didn't want to be bad, you know? Meanwhile, I think we teach, I guess it's like you raise boys to kind of be brave, where it's like go out in the mud, get dirty, like do this, do that, you know. And everyone's experience is different. I'm not saying that like this is how everyone is molded, but I think there is kind of like a little bit of a type of a notion, like a preconceived notion like that. Like when I write an email, I don't want to make it like I'm sounding like I'm being like, you know,
no, same.
like too standoffish or whatever. To read it like 5 times. I don't want to make it like I'm coming off too strong, you know?
Right.
But I feel like other people, if like someone does that, they might look at that as being like, oh,
like you're doing a lot right now. Like, why are you thinking about it so much? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that.
So
okay, that's really interesting though. Yeah.
I just think don't let the fear of failure stop you from doing things. And like if something is difficult and hard, like let it be difficult and hard and keep on trying. Yeah. You know, good things come when you have to work hard for them.
Yeah. I guess another question on top of that, like, and I'm gonna think about this too, how many times, like if you think of all the big areas that you've grown in, how many times do you think you failed in that area before you actually got to where you wanted to be?
A lot.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so much.
Definitely in like the double digits.
I would
maybe triple.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like how much can you, I don't know if you can even count repeated behavior. You know what I mean? Like repeated behavior, like you keep on doing something like that, you know, you keep on doing something and then you're like, oh, when am I ever going to learn? Yeah. But then you'll learn. I feel like I was able to really learn once I like gained a sense of independence.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
Like that's why I would like look up to Jaazy so much when she was like going to Hawaii like by herself and stuff, and I was just like, that's so cool, you know.
No,
so
it helps, like kind of knowing that like even if everything else or like everyone else or no one else is there, it's like actually help me. I can kind of like at least navigate something, or like being able to bring yourself positive experiences without needing other people around. And I think like connections and like relationships and like friendships, like that is where your true joy is going to be found in life, like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But when you know that like you can also enjoy your time by yourself, then you're not looking to other people for desperation, and then you can be more like picky with your friendships because you're not desperate for them, and all of those things just like add together. So independence definitely helps and like plays a big role.
You have to be okay with your own being, you know. And I always like, people would tell me that, and I'm like, obviously I'm okay with my, like, what do you want? But then I didn't realize that like what it truly meant. Like you need to embrace it, like just embrace that independence, embrace that, you know, not needing, like not constantly always needing to have someone, and like it's just like, and then that opens you up to like really beautiful things that can come afterwards. And I didn't know that was a thing until it happened. So
and like a lot of it is the difference between being confident and valuing yourself, because I think I was pretty confident, kind of. That's a little shaky. I wasn't when I first came to college. Like I don't know how confident I actually was, but I was decently confident. But I did not value myself very much. And there's a big difference. I think people think it's the same thing.
There's such a difference. Yeah. And you don't learn that until you experience it. You have to go through. I mean, you don't have to. Hopefully you don't have to go through that. Yeah. But there's such a distinction between like confidence and value and like respect of the self. Yeah. Like I always would be like, I respect myself so much. Like I don't understand what like this whole thing is. Like respect yourself. Like what? Like like everyone does that. But no, like you really need to learn your inherent respect, value, and a lot of that comes down to like you got to fight for it. Like that's and fighting for change and like fighting for it is being able to like say no. Yeah. In situations.
Yeah, that's a big piece. It can be really hard to like say no,
especially if you're like a people pleaser.
What empowered you to start saying no? More
just knowing that when I didn't say no, how it would make me feel afterwards. Just like feeling more sad than I was happy. Yeah, kind of made me be like, made me realize that certain things, you know, friendships like should be cut out and things like that. And I think a lot of that is kind of just being in tune with how things are making you feel, but then acting upon that feeling.
That's
and
really
not
true.
doing things over and over, repeated behavior that leads to that. And that could be like in any realm of life.
No, that's so true. And I think it goes like both ways. Like even like for my end, like one thing now that I'm learning after cutting things out is like, okay, what do I need to like add back in? Because I kind of tend to like, because of that independence, be like too independent and not want to add more things in, but recognizing like, okay, this is actually adding to my life, making me feel good and like better, so let me keep adding it instead of just like pushing it away. And I've experienced that in like multiple things, whether it's like being more disciplined with like waking up earlier, making sure I'm really like fostering friendships like with you and like you know, other people around me, and like also being intentional with like the good things in my life too.
How do you like draw the line between like independence and then like closing yourself off?
I can like start to feel it. But I think practically, I think the difference is like, am I doing this because like just because like I can and like because I want to, I know it's like good for me, or is part of me making this decision because I know it'll create like a distance between me and another person, or like between me and like something else that I would have to like depend on. I think it doesn't really honestly get exposed until like you actually find an area where you need like other people to kind of depend on. So like for example with like friendships and things like that, like I can like have fun like going out like doing things by myself, but like sometimes I realize I kind of just need like a girls night, you know? And so like independence would be like on the days where like I don't feel like I need a girls night, or like having the freedom to like take myself out and do things, but like the point where it becomes cutting people off is then when I feel uncomfortable, like either like making like a group thing happen, or another way of it can kind of be a self-sabotage to where I haven't fostered my friendships enough to even feel like I have people around. And I think that's when you kind of start to notice, like thankfully I'm at a point now where like I feel like I have really good community and everything like that. But I think a lot of times self-isolation, or like when you see people who are super isolated or like just don't really have a lot of people around them, like they can seem super independent, but I think you kind of start isolating yourself before you even realize
that's
that
what's
you're
happening.
That's what's happening. Because like if you didn't have like any friends to like call up,
then you're like, maybe I did this a little too much. maybe I took this a little too far.
Or like you'll see those there was this old TikTok trend. It was like, I think I like girl boss a little too close to the sun. It was like the girls who are like, I'm like a 25-year-old like CEO.
I know.
I like can't relate to anyone my age, and like definitely girl boss too close to the sun. But it just like goes to show how like you have to be intentional in like every area of your life.
That's
with like the good and the bad. I think it's easy to like cut out bad things, but because it's obvious. But it like, can be a little bit harder to like keep good things.
Keep the good things around. Yeah. Like let the good things in.
Yeah, because we all need other people.
Yeah, I think like when I went through this whole phase of like independence and stuff, I like I was like it was so good, like I loved it, and I like embraced it, and then I like became scared of losing it. I was like you know, just like being vulnerable to other things and stuff. I was like really valuing this sense of independence that I gained in myself, and I was like, is this gonna like bring me back? Like, am I gonna go backwards if like I let in other things in my life? You know what I mean? And it's like scary. Like it's like it's scary.
It is. And that's like when you know it kind of like switches from just like the independence, like closing yourself off. But I think it's like a good phase to like go through nonetheless, because you do need to have like that sense of like independence, individuality, like you said, and then trusting yourself that when you do open doors back up, you'll still be able to keep like all of that growth that you've made.
That's such a good point.
That will help. Definitely help like us women, and like not even like being like competitive with each other, and having confidence in like our growth and our journeys, and like having each other's back is just like actually having trust
Trust in
ourselves and
yourself.
how far we've made it.
Yeah. And you build healthy habits, and they're habits, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and habits stick. I think I was really scared that, like, I was going to lose those healthy habits if, like, I left some sense of independence by opening myself up to other things.
Yeah.
But, like, but they're habits, you know? And if you can, you know, that's, like, you fall back on that, and they stick throughout, so.
No, yeah, they won't leave. Like,
Just
one thing in,
disappear.
like, being in a relationship now, like, I was, like, scared of that independence, and, like, some of my habits, like, they fell off a little bit, but when you get yourself to, like, a certain point of growth, like, you can only backtrack so far, because, like, things always ended up coming around, and I got uncomfortable, and I was like, hold on.
Hold on. Let me reevaluate this.
Let me make sure I'm, like, still keeping up with, like, everything also that I've put in place, like, for myself. And that really helps a lot, I think. And that goes back to, like, actually believing that, like, and trusting your own decision making. And, like, your own braveness, even when you're not perfect.
Look at that. Look at what she did. That's really good. That was good. You tied that in. But yeah, for sure. I think that was a very good point. I think also touching upon, like, new relationships too, because that's, like, always scary, especially when you gain, like, some sense of, like, independence, and then you're like, what, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, then you're like, these healthy habits are sticking, and this person is helping me foster them. Yeah. And that's also how you know that, like, it's something that's not, like, not bad, you know, not toxic, or, like, that's, like...
Yeah. No, literally, yeah, exactly. We should do, like, in, like, 2 years, we should do another podcast episode about relationships.
Wait, that'd be so scary. Wait, we should do, like, a reflection. Yeah. Right? Like, a reaction.
Then versus now.
Yeah. Well, how old would we be in 2 years? I'm 22. I'll be 22. You'll be
in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
You're 20 right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be 21. About to turn 22. You will not be that much older than me.
Why do I feel so grown right now?
I don't know.
I feel so grown right now. So but I'm so young. So
yeah. It's because we're also, I think we're mature for our age.
Jaazy's so mature for her age.
Thank you.
Just saying, because she like is.
I think
younger.
We were just
I'm
tired.
Young for my grade. She's even younger.
Yeah, but we're out here. I'm just trying to enjoy my life. I don't want to waste it.
Live life to the fullest.
Literally. But
everyone should live life to the fullest.
But I guess closing out, I have 2 questions. The first question is, from, like, growing from, like, then to now, how do you think you've changed the most in how you relate to other people, and how you've noticed other people relate to you?
And how I relate to other people?
Yeah.
I think a lot has changed. I would say that I'm able to find more people that I'm able to relate to. Okay. Like, before, I didn't really have that. Because you just want to be friends with everyone, you know what I mean? Like, this is something new, you know, you want to, like, be whatever. But now I think I surround myself with, like, more people that kind of align with how I think. Yeah. And I guess, like, communities that I'm able to kind of, like, affiliate more in that sense. So I guess there's a more people that I relate to than before. Okay,
that's cool though.
I feel like that's for you too.
Yeah, no, I've definitely met more people. Community. Yeah, and then second, what would your, I guess, closing advice be to anyone else, just in the overall topic of, like, growing as a woman and fighting for growth in whichever area of life?
I would just say, like, don't be your own worst enemy. Like, try new things, like, always challenge and push yourself, even if it puts you in, like, uncomfortable situations, and you might feel like the odd person in the room or whatever. Like, just kind of embrace those type of situations, because through that challenge, you're kind of really able to really grow. Yeah. So, awesome. Period.
Brave women, all 2023. Yeah. But thank you, Leah.
Literally. Thank you for having me.
This was really fun.
This was so much fun.
It'll happen again.
Back. I want to be back.
No, you should. I want you to be back. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
All right. Cool. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, cool. Thank y'all so much for watching today's episode of the I Am podcast. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, or opinions about what we spoke on today, don't forget to leave them in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay tuned for next week's episode. Have a good rest of your week. Stay blessed. Bye.